All right, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday Epic Speedruns here at Epic Gaming in Portland, Oregon. I'm joined again by Scott Obozo, who's going to be playing Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal tonight, an 80% run on the NTSCU disc for PlayStation 2. However, he's playing in Spanish. Scotto, do you want to give us a little bit of background on why that is?
Yeah, so basically on one of the later planets in the run called Hollow Star Studios, you're basically like filming a movie on that planet. And so there's a little bit of unskippable dialogue at the start and in the middle of it. And so the Spanish voice actors just talk faster than the other ones. German is actually faster than Spanish, and Korean is also faster, but those languages are not accessible on this version of the game.
All right, so Scott, let us know when we can start that timer, and we'll go for it. We'll do a 3, 2, 1, and we'll be off for this hour-long Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal 80% speed run.
All right, so just a little background here. I just unplugged my memory card because there's no places where you have to reload the game in this run. So because of that, we can unplug it, and it skips the little like screen at the start where it shows you what the autosave icon looks like. It saves a couple seconds. So I'm going to get started here. The time starts once I gain control of Ratchet, so I'll give a countdown for that. All right, time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, we're live. Good luck to you, Scott Obozo. And again, you're watching Wednesday Epic Speedruns here at Epic Gaming. Take it away.
Yep. So this is the first planet in the game. It's Veldin. This is Ratchet's home planet, and it's just been invaded by Tyrannoids, which are the general enemy in the game. Pretty much all of the enemies that you fight throughout the game are going to be Tyrannoids or helping the Tyrannoids. So to start off, we already have two weapons. One is called the shock cannon, and the other one is the nitro launcher. So our goal here is going to be to level up the shock cannon, but some enemies are simply faster to kill with the nitro launcher. So this is like the first little section here. Some parts of this can be skipped in the NG Plus section, in the NG Plus run of this game. And you'll notice that in this game there are a lot of small portions of downtime. So this is a missile freefall section where you're supposed to dodge missiles, but this is just the tutorial, so you're not actually in any danger here. But there's just a lot of small places where it just doesn't feel like you're doing a whole lot of gameplay. And another thing is these are ranger missions where you're just mindlessly going around and killing noids. Well, not really mindlessly, but you're just going around killing noids in the game. And so your general goal for a lot of planets is just to kill the enemies as quickly as possible. So here I'm going to shoot the nitro launcher up there to hit those two enemies as they get dropped out of the dropship, saving a couple seconds on that. I'm going to do the same thing with those ones, but I missed the shot. So now that I've killed those ones, I can ignore the rest because those are the ones that trigger the door to get opened. And once the door is open, I can go up here, kill this extra ship, and I've already leveled up the shock cannon on the first planet of the game, which some might say it's a good thing, some might say it's a bad thing. But that was the first planet. And so in this game, instead of just one upgrade for every gun like in the second game in the series, Going Commando, it's actually every gun can go up to level 5 when you first get it. So now this is Florana. This is a common trend in Ratchet and Clank games where they have a simple mechanism for you to go from the end of the level straight back to where you started. And so you can just kind of jump through the bridge. They somehow didn't think to patch it so that, you can't jump straight through the bridge, skipping the entire level. So now we're straight into the path of death here. You'll notice a lot of fire and all that. And more enemies to kill. Not really Tyrannoids. I'm messing up a little bit here, falling in when I think I shouldn't be falling in. That's just due to some bad spacing. And of course there's boulders falling on you. Typical Path of Death-like stuff here. So yeah, let's try and actually get past this part. Ratchet got squashed there, but unlike Mario, when he's squeezed horizontally, he doesn't instantly die. Of course, the enemy just sort of hit me out of the air there, unfortunately, so I have to redo this part yet again. Alright, now we're finally out of the hard part of the Path of Death, or the dangerous part, really. So now this is the first boss fight in the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Nitro Launcher, spam the Nitro Launcher to do as much damage as possible. And then finish him off with the Shock Cannon so that it gets the XP for it. And that's the second planet. So now we're going to the Starship Phoenix, which is sort of the hub world of this game. And there's going to be a lot of things that we have to come back here for again and again throughout the game. And so that boss that we just killed was Captain Quark, who is a very common character in the Ratchet and Clank games. And he tends to get Ratchet into a lot of trouble. And right now Quark has gone crazy and he thinks he's a monkey, so we have to put him in the cage over there. Now we're going to head over to the bridge of the Phoenix to receive orders from the commander. And there's a funny little glitch. In every little place where you can't jump, you can just sort of swing your wrench, and then you can repeat the wrench animation by pressing X. It's kind of a funny thing in these games. So now we're going to abuse the soft lock prevention feature of this game. Or basically, if you glide in one place for about 5 seconds and then let go, the game thinks that you're soft lock and it'll kill you. And so we can just death abuse straight back to our ship instead of having to, you know, take the bridge back or save load. So over at the bridge we got the coordinates to Marcadia here. And this is another one of the Ranger mission planets where we're just going to be killing a lot of Tyrannoids. So you may notice the ×2 multiplier in the top right of the screen next to the bolts. And that gives me 2 times as much bolts, but it also gives me 2 times the XP from killing enemies. And that goes for both my health upgrades and my weapon upgrades. So I've already gotten the Shock Cannon to level 3. I'm like really high on Shock Cannon XP right now because of those deaths on the Path of Death. So now you'll really notice that the game's in Spanish. You know, the Rangers are talking in Spanish all the time. So these missions are a lot less exciting than the first planet. The first planet you were like almost always doing something. But now that we're on Marcadia, these missions are, you know, a little bit less things to do here. We're just waiting for the dropships.
Estamos perdidos. Refuerzos. Necesito refuerzos.
So yeah, right now my goal is to kill the saucers as soon as everything else is dead. Because once the last dropship enemies are dead, the saucers will stop spawning. And then once the last saucers are dead, that's when the mission ends. So there's a little bit of coordination that you have to do it optimally. Now mission 2 is even more boring than mission 1 was. We're just sitting here waiting, and so I can just sort of do high jumps and hope for the random voice line where Ratchet says yeah. I thought that guy died, but unfortunately he didn't, so I'm losing a little bit of time because of that.
No quiero morir. Me rindo.
There isn't a whole lot to talk about here, but there's going to be a few things later on that might be too fast to talk about. So later on there's going to be, at the end of this planet, we're going to get a Quark vidcomic, which is a game within a game. So we're going to be playing Ratchet playing a game later.
Están justo sobre nosotros.
And so the Quark vidcomic is basically a fun little diversion to the quest for Ratchet. And he can basically just
Hay que eliminar ese
play the
bloque
Quark
de
vidcomics and
comunicación
learn
que
about
envías.
Quark, and then
Cada vez son
they
más
also just so happen to unlock the coordinates to important places to go to later.
Yujú. Enséñales
So this is a turret control section. So basically we have to lead the shots because these are extremely slow moving lasers.
juego de cobertura.
And the saucers aren't as much of a problem. The smaller flying enemies, they're not really a problem because this is the any percent run. They don't really do that much damage in the new game. They do a lot more damage in New Game Plus.
Bien hecho, sargento.
So this mission is under the gun, and basically it's a 2-minute auto-scrolling section, but we can use it to get some not so much needed experience for the shot cannon. There isn't really much to talk about here. But just to give you an idea of what we're going to see later, there's going to be a gadget called the Charge Boots, which is going to allow us to move significantly faster than the way we move right now. So right now I'm trying to avoid getting some experience because it can actually be a problem if you get the shot cannon to level 5 too soon. So right now it just leveled up to level 4. And the plan is that it's supposed to level up to level 5 during an arena challenge later. That way the new feature of the level 5 can be fully utilized without wasting it on the earlier rounds of the fighting challenge. So one thing to note is that the weapon animation upgrade usually loses time if you don't skip it, but in this case, the timer on the bottom right actually keeps going even when you do upgrade a weapon. So it didn't actually lose time this time, but all the other times it did lose time. Yeah, the basic idea of this mission is that you have to keep the 3 rangers that are repairing the turret here, you have to keep them safe. So I did that for 2 minutes, now we can keep going. Alright, so this is going to be the first and only time that we see the use of bolt cranks in this game. It's not the only place in the game, but it's the only place that we see it in the run. So you basically just turn the cranks and that activates the little ground turrets. That way they can shoot down these drop ships before they can drop their enemies. And all of the enemies on this mission have a pretty set pattern, so you can just sort of memorize when you have to kill what enemies. luckily the Rangers were nice enough to kill that little Noid right there.
Siga así, sargento. Solo necesitamos una torreta más para
Every now
detener
and
a
then
los
there will be
tiroides.
one little Noid like that they don't kill, and it's a big problem, because then it just throws your entire cycle off like this. And so I had to go out of my way to kill those guys to make sure that my cycle didn't get thrown off again. Alright, so now I'm going to set up a really cool glitch here called Ghost Ratchet. And I think I just messed it up. That was a really long load. Yes, I messed it up.
Tiranoides han lanzado un ataque total.
So I killed myself a little bit too early, and somehow the game decided that I failed the mission, but I still get the cutscene that I would have gotten if I had completed it.
Esas torretas solo
So I'm just going to
tiran
do this again, because the next section would have been really slow without Ghost Ratchet. And I think redoing this mission would actually be faster than proceeding to the laser defense facility without Ghost Ratchet. So already this run hasn't come off to a very good start, but
todo lo que tienen.
I've only run this category, I don't know, 3 times. So that's kind of to be expected.
Están por todas partes. Ah. Siga así, sargento. Solo necesitamos una torreta más para detener a los tiranoides.
Maybe this time the Rangers will kill those ankle biters that are coming for me. Oh, they didn't have to,
Nosotros
so
nos
that's pretty
encargamos,
nice.
sargento.
Alright, I got the glitch this time, I think. So now, you should see something pretty funny here. If I jump through the wall here, you know, these walls just kind of don't exist anymore. And that's what happens when you kill yourself and then something gets you out of the mud. So I'm just gonna sort of skip through this section a little bit. For some reason you can still wall bounce even when you have Ghost Ratchet, so you can still interact with walls. Sort of. Just not very much. So that's the end of the laser defense facility. We just got Quark vidcomic number 1. And so now we have to go back to the Starship Phoenix. This is the first time we're going back, and we're going there to play the vidcomic. That's the only reason we have to go there. So the Quark vidcomics have their own movement tech. It's a 2D platforming game within a 3D platforming game, so you know, the 3D game has a lot of tech. The 2D game is going to have as much tech as we can fit in it. So first we got to do our little jumps that are faster than just walking, just to get over to the vidcomic player here. So we get a nice loading screen with Quark's face. That's about 3 times faster on PS3. And so the tech in this game is punch jumping. So if you punch after you jump, you gain a little bit of extra height, and if you punch right before you jump, then you get a little bit of extra speed. And if you punch after a wall bounce, then you can get more height as well as stay right next to the wall when you do it. So there's a lot of tech in these vidcomics. Unfortunately, I'm already at 1 health, which could be a problem later. And here there's enemies that sort of come from the left and right, so I just shoot all of my shots there. I'm gonna kill myself here so that I actually have full health for later, because there is a checkpoint right here. See, I'm just kind of trying to dodge these little hazards. Take a slightly faster path through there than normal. And here I'm going to skip this moving platform just by damage boosting. now there's a health upgrade token at the end of this comic. There's one inside every comic, but this is the only one that's like straight up handed to you. So it's going to be the only one that we actually get. Got a nice one cycle on the boss here. And I got a skill point for it. So that's pretty nice. If you don't get the skill points in any percent, then you're pretty much doing a really bad job at the vid comics. Because good runners can actually get the skill point when they get all of the tokens in the level and the health upgrade token. So we just finished the Quark vid comic. Now we're going to go to Annihilation Nation. And I'm going to set up my quick select for a gadget that we're going to get there. So Annihilation Nation is basically a replay value planet. So in a casual playthrough, you would just go back here whenever you need bolts or whenever you want to upgrade your weapons more with the arena challenges. Or you can just run through the death courses. They're also pretty fun. So we're going to get one of each. We're going to do the death course first, and then there's going to be an arena challenge afterwards. So yeah, every time you hit the button there, it's preset based on which challenge it is. So it's not random at all which way you have to go. So I already know that it's going to lead me this way. And all of the enemies are in the same spot too if you're doing the same challenge. And so here we get the second Quark vid comic, but we're not going to play it until a little bit later. In fact, we're actually going to do number 2, 3, and 4 all at the same time. So it's going to be quite a while before we play it. So now this is the arena challenge that I was talking about earlier. So we want the shock cannon to level up to level 5 when we're about halfway through this challenge. So where the enemies spawn in this challenge is based on where you're looking. They'll always try to spawn so that you're looking at them when they spawn. And so you can use this to your advantage to make sure that they all spawn on the same side here. But aside from that, there isn't too much to talk about with this specific challenge. Alright, so I sort of skipped out on a little bit too much XP, and I didn't get the shot cannon upgrade until the 8th round here. But now I can show you what it does. Once it's V5, you can do this big sweeping attack. You can use it to sweep, or you can weave it back and forth, and it can hit boss enemies multiple times, which we're going to be using later. So now we have the tier guys, and this is an extremely broken gadget. We're not even going to use it for its intended use at all in this run. Basically, it turns you into one of the little Tyrannoids. You know, one of the ones that bit me partway through on one of the Arcadia missions. And as it turns out, in the process of turning you into a Tyrannoid, it can also allow you to infinite jump and pretty much skip any kind of animation. Normally you can't move when that roof is closing, but thanks to the tier guys we can move and get out of bounds while this thing is moving. So now I'm going to jump up, do a little thing called a tiptoe. That basically allows you to get a jump off of any surface that would normally lava bounce you. And now I'm going to clip out here. And I messed up the infinite jumps there. It's pretty difficult to get it started. So it might take me a couple tries to get it started, but once I really get going, I shouldn't like drop any infinite jumps at all. Like once I get the first few down, I should be able to get all the way to the end of the skip. So basically what we're doing here is we're going out of bounds, and you'll notice those little nodes that are spinning above, and those are swing shot nodes. So we're doing this to get the swing shot and unlock the planet that you're supposed to unlock after you get the swing shot. So the clip out of this tank is a little bit finicky. But basically this skip is to get the swing shot, which unlocks the planet Dax. So I'm going to use the stars here to line up where I'm going. That way I know I'm going in the exact right direction. And that's the skip. So I did a little animation cancel there with the tier guys again. And that was just so that I didn't have to wait for the titanium bolt animation. You're basically forced to get that titanium bolt no matter what you do. So now I'm going to go to Aquatos real quick. This is a really important planet in the run because we do a lot of stuff here. And I mean a lot of stuff. Like, you don't understand how much stuff we're going to be doing here. And honestly, it's too much to explain. I'm just going to let it speak for itself here. So, we're about to land on Aquatos here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight back to the ship and go to Dax instead. And this will come in handy later. See, going to Aquatos actually unlocks the sniper rifle weapon in the vendor. So it was extremely crucial that we go to Aquatos because we need the sniper rifle weapon to kill the final boss in the game. So now I'm going to do a little tier jump there. These are the charge boots. So pretty much instantly after this point, we're going to be moving really quickly. Faster than you've ever seen me move before. I'm also going to be buying the plasma whip. And you'll immediately see what it does here. It allows you to conserve the momentum with the charge boots into a normal jump or a long jump. And you can even cancel your charge partway through and then use the whip. So here we're going to be doing some shot cannon weaving on this boss. Like I had explained earlier, you can sort of move the shot cannon back and forth and it'll deal damage multiple times to whatever you're aiming at. So that was the right side of Dax. Now we're going to be going to the left side. We're going to be doing a little bit of out of bounds to skip the hacker sections, because normally you need the hacker to get through this area. But since we did VR skip, we skipped our only chance to get the hacker. So now that that's done, we have to chase down Skid McMarks, who is a world-renowned, in fact, a galaxy-renowned hoverboarder. And he joined the Q-Force, which is a force set up by Quark to stop the antagonist of the game, Dr. Nefarious. And so we have to go look after him for some reason. He found himself on Obani Gemini, so we have to go there as well. And our first obstacle here is a door, which we normally need the refractor to open. But thanks to some generous geometry there, we can just jump over it. Now there's a barrier here, which we also normally need the refractor for. But again, thanks to some generous geometry, if I can just land on it, we can just clip through it. And so now we're in the second half of Obani Gemini. And basically, these sections are spherical worlds. So the physics are slightly different than normal. Alright, I messed that up. So I'm just going to have to do the backup normal way here. But trust me, the infinite jump strat there would have been really cool. And unfortunately, the enemy sniped me off the ground. So I'm going to have to go for that infinite jump again. So I think the reason that failed is because I was over the the little wrench slide thing. I don't remember what they're called. But because I was over that, it ate my wrench input. So I'm going to have to long jump at a slightly different angle here. And I think I hit square a little bit too early there. So I'm going to have to try this again. So yeah, this run isn't the greatest so far. But, you know, I should still be able to finish strong. So there's Skid McMarks. We have successfully saved him by finding him and then teleporting away from him immediately. And for some reason, by doing that, we unlock the coordinates to Blackwater City. And this is the first of a couple planets that are sort of being reused and repurposed from the first game. But of all the planets that are reused and repurposed from the first game, they have all been turned into Ranger mission planets, pretty much, except for one. So we're just going to go through this free fall section and then kill some noids. And again, you'll notice that they're all talking in Spanish. So we're going to use this sweeping ability with the shot cannon and the weaving ability from the shot cannon to kill the noids and the dropships. And luckily they were fairly generous with the ammo boxes on this planet, so we can use the shot cannon for pretty much everything on this first mission. So I just need to get that one ammo, that way we can use this overpowered shot, which normally costs 10, and then get another one. That way we can finish the planet using just the ammo that it gives us. Alright, so this is the bridge. And it's going to be pretty much the same as the last mission, except we're on the bridge now, which was previously closed off. But now that we have sort of killed all the noids in that area, we can move on to the next area. So we're actually going to use the nitro launcher for these little ankle biters because it's not really worth using our super strong shot cannon shots for. So now that we've killed the ankle biters, the bigger guys are coming out. We can just kill them all. Unfortunately, I missed that guy, but that's fine. And it looks like I have enough money for the sniper rifle here, so I'm going to buy that first. So here we're going to weave with the shot cannon to kill the turrets, as well as those laser shooters there. And now we're going to snipe these saucers with the sniper rifle. That way we don't have to use up all of our shot cannon ammo on those guys, and then not have enough left for these dropships. So we're going to kill one dropship with that, and then we're going to kill two dropships with that weave. And then the last dropship here, we can kill with this one. And that's Blackwater City. Now we have to go back to Annihilation Nation, which is right there. So basically we did Blackwater City for the purpose of getting the gravity boots. And the gravity boots are going to be useful on the next planet after this one. But first we have to do this challenge here to meet Courtney Gears, who is, you know, sort of a pop star in the game, based off of Britney Spears, in case the name wasn't already obvious. And I'm going to do a little trick here to skip the first, you know, button press of the challenge. Saves a couple seconds. Totally worth doing when you die. Definitely. Absolutely. So we can just sort of charge through it and ignore most of the enemies. And now we have another boss fight here. This one is called Scorpio. And he's a little bit weaker than the warship that we killed earlier. But that's fine. We're gonna kill him. We got the third vid comic from him. For whatever reason, Scorpio just had the third vid comic laying dormant inside its body. So we got that. But like I said, we're not gonna go back to play the vid comics until number 4. So this is Hollowstar Studios. This is the place that had the unskippable dialogue that I was talking about at the start of the run. And I'm going to be going for a fun trick here called Scrunchless, which is extremely precise, and I'm probably going to mess it up. But, you know, what's the point of running the game if you're not going to do every single hard strat? So yeah, this is the first and only Clank section that we're going to be doing. There are other Clank sections before this in the actual, like, casual path of the game, but we skipped them. So this is Scrunchless. Let's see if I get it. Alright, I missed it. I over-adjusted there, went too far to the right. But basically you can glide along that rail. And it's even possible to do it without grabbing the ledge. You can just ride the rail all the way across, or you can just ride it part way and grab the ledge. So yeah, the cycles on the second run through are a little bit harder to gauge unless you've, you know, practiced second try Scrunchless, which is kind of a dumb thing to practice. So I'm going to go for it again, and if I mess it up this time, well, darn. So that time I didn't adjust it enough. I had to adjust it a little bit to the left, but I didn't do that. So this is attempt 3. This time I'm going to be going for a safer strat instead.
Perfecto, me encantan las persecuciones. Lo estás haciendo muy bien, chico. Ahora evita esos láseres y reúnete con el mono en el aparcamiento del casino.
So I'm going to be taking Scrunch here, and I'm going to be taking him up to this so that he can hit the button and actually open up the drawbridge here. I'm just going to dodge the laser, and I'm going to do a nice little jump over here that skips the barrier. So yeah, I took it a little bit safe and didn't go hard on the first jump. But that's the end of the Clank section. Alright, so now this is the Terror of Talos, and Clank has grown big now. But he's only going to last that way for, you know, this fight. So basically we're going to jump on him in specific ways so that he's cornered. And that way we can keep jumping on him even though the game wants us to kill some ninjas. You know, we don't really want to kill the ninjas, we just want to kill Talos. And fun little trick here, if you just mash X, Clank can jump as high as he wants. But this is only with Giant Clank, and you're only Giant Clank for that little moment there. So there's not really anything special you can do with that little bit of tech. So now we get to be Ratchet, and this is going to be the one time where we're Ratchet without Clank. But even though there's no Clank, we can still do infinite jumps. So we're just going to infinite jump over that barrier, come up here to the secret path, which has a couple titanium bolts on it. We're going to collect one, and it just so happens to take us straight back to the ship. And so that's why we got the gravity boots from Blackwater City, because without those, this planet would have taken a lot longer. Now we're going to Obani Draco, and you may have noticed that the ship transition was a little bit shorter this time. That's just something that happens sometimes on Draco, if you get lucky. So here I'm going to be doing another Ghost Ratchet trick. So basically I'm going to drop into the mud, and that guy's going to hit me out of the mud. And so now I have Ghost Ratchet, which both gets rid of some of your collision with walls, and it gets rid of the speed cap, so you can actually move a bit faster if you have Ghost Ratchet. So I'm going to be landing on this place out of bounds. Getting out the whip. And unfortunately I hit a bad cycle there. If you're not really counting how long it's been since you got Ghost Ratchet, sometimes you just hit a bad cycle there. So I'm going to be setting it up again, because this is a really cool strategy. Alright, I messed up that part, so I'm just going to be doing a little bit of movement off camera so that I can land here, and hopefully just get through the last part normally. So now we're going to fight Courtney Gears, who is one of the hardest boss fights in this run. So again, we're just doing shot cannon weaving for this entire fight. It's extremely important. And a good shot cannon weave will get 3 individual hits on the boss. And I'm going to try and finish her off with the sniper rifle here to give it some experience. Leveled up to level 2. Because at the end of the run, we're going to be wanting it at level 5. So now that we're done with Obani Draco, we get to go to Zeldrin Starport. And there's an entire path on Zeldrin Starport that we can go to, but it only leads to a collectible item that we don't need for the run. So instead, I'm just going to go to the main story path. Which leads us to this little star cruiser here that we have to get through. So there's some enemies that we had to kill there to drop the elevator. So careful dodging the enemies there, and we can just go up the elevator to the end. So it's really hard to get a good time on this mission, but a good time if you were running NG Plus would be a 50 or a 51 on the timer if you're really good. But because this is any percent and I'm not really used to the movement for any percent, you can only really, I was only able to get a 48 on the timer. So now is that time again, where we just got VidComic 4, and now it's time to play them all. So we get to do 3 VidComics in a row. You better be ready for a lot of punch jumping. So yeah, this level is fairly dependent on cycles. So a lot of the platforms have a set cycle that they work on. So even if I make a few mistakes, it's not going to matter that much, because there's certain cycles later that you just can't do better than. So yeah, I got myself in a bit of a precarious situation and had to recover it with some wall bounce punches. And because the game counts all of your tokens at the end for bolts, it's actually faster not to collect tokens. And that was a little audio glitch because the camera moved at the same time as I fell out of the map. So don't be alarmed, that is not on your end. And I got the skill point. So, I'm not horrible at this game, believe it. So yeah, we only get 46 tokens in this VidComic. You know, it's not a specific number that we have to get or anything, it's just that we want to get as few as possible so that the countdown at the end is faster. In the all titanium bolts run of this game, you have to collect every single titanium bolt, as the name implies, and part of that is getting every token in the VidComics. Yeah, this is probably the hardest level to do without taking a lot of damage, so don't be surprised if you see me get hit a few times. This section is sort of an auto-scroller in the VidComic. We just would have to wait, and then there's a little bit of RNG here, depending on where the last enemy spawns. So I got it to spawn in the middle, which is decent RNG. You know, obviously you don't want it to spawn on the left because the door is on the right. So there I collected a couple tokens by accident. But that's fine. It's only a fraction of a second is what we're losing from that. So there I was on 1 health and was just being careful not to die. And that's the skill point. So we got 48 tokens in this one. Mostly because of the 2 10-token things that are, you know, right at the end. So now this is the 4th VidComic, and it's also the longest one. So the other ones were about 1.5 minutes. This one's going to be about just over 2 minutes, if it's done well. And the main reason is it starts out with a couple cycles, and a little bit of auto-scrolling with the zip line there. And I was actually able to input the cheat code that made Quark change his clothes while he was on the zip line. So that's pretty fun. Make him change back on the next zipline too. And I barely hit that cycle. It's about like 4 or 5 second loss if I miss the cycle. So now I'm getting Quark to change his clothes while he's behind that. You know, gotta give him some privacy, right? So this is another little auto-scrolling section of the vidcomic. You just sort of have to wait here and try not to take damage so that you have as much health left for the boss fight at the end. You might have noticed that there was a token up there that I didn't get. And this is again because you don't want to collect very many tokens in the any percent run. It just wastes time on the countdown at the end. But I collected that one anyway, just because it's in a spot that's good to kill the big enemy that was up there. Yeah, I killed those guys just for convenience. So, you know, I might be collecting unnecessary tokens, but it's for the sake of convenience. So here I'm going to do a wall bounce trick to get to the health upgrade, because I'm a bit low on health. Unfortunately, I collected that 10 token thing as well. And another wall bounce trick to get up here. And so we're into the boss fight at 2 minutes. So with this red attack that he does, the big red ball, there's a chance that when it hits Quark, it'll also damage Nefarious. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me. But I still got the skill point, so we're all good there. Why do you like speedrunning older games like this? Genuinely curious. So, a lot of times, speedrunners like to speedrun the games that they grew up with. You know, so I played a lot of Ratchet and Clank as a kid. And so I searched Ratchet and Clank on Twitch and found that there were people speedrunning it. You know, I searched it on Twitch just to find who was playing it, and I just so happened to find a speedrunner. So, that's sort of why I speedrun Ratchet and Clank. And that's why a lot of other people speedrun old games as well. Is just because it's the games that they played as a kid and they want to keep on playing them, but with a different kind of replay value. So this is Metropolis. This is one of the other reused planets from the first game. So this one is an actual level rather than just ranger missions. But we're going to make quick work of it. So here we don't even have to shot cannon weave fighting giant Clank for some reason. I don't know why, it's just that his hitbox is weird in that way, that we don't have to shot cannon weave on him. So we're going to snipe to get some extra damage on him. It's not necessary, but you know, we'll still get shot cannon ammo from these crates because you can't actually get ammo from crates for the sniper rifle. Alright, so that's the boss is dead. And now because I'm playing without a memory card here, I'm gonna have to do a backtrack strat instead of just save loading, which is faster if it's done well, but of course there's no guarantee that you're gonna do this well. Just like that. I got a bad angle on the whip jump there. So yeah, I set up the angle for this whip, but I messed it up. So I'm just going to take this other route. And because I'm so low on ammo, I'm just going to grab some ammo here. Now we get to go back to the Phoenix. So we're going back to the Phoenix again. We're getting coordinates immediately for the next planet. So we just go to the Phoenix and then we immediately charge back to our ship. Because that's just how this game is. You know, every time you do anything, you usually have to go back to the Phoenix. So now this is Crash Site. This is one of the coolest looking planets, in my opinion, when I was first looking at speedruns of this game. Because you just do whip jumps off of to get across these giant gaps. And so now we just got coordinates to Iridia, which is a planet that we don't want to go to. Although I might have just accidentally went to it. I'm not sure though, we'll see. Yes, I did. So the game, the menus in this game are kind of laggy. I think it just ate my down input. So I go into the missions menu and then I hit down so that it does the second mission on the list. Because that's a lot faster than scrolling all the way up to the Phoenix again. But basically, we just got VidComic 5 from that. So, this is going to be the last VidComic in the run. And again, we just get to look at Quark's face while it loads. And again, just a lot of punch jumping for speed. So we're just kind of going through this fairly normally, no like huge sequence breaks or anything. What we are going to do is we're going to take the left path here so that we can get the health upgrade. Just try and move as quickly as possible through the level. And that's the VidComic. 1 minute 30 seconds and we got the skill point. So that means I got the skill point on every single VidComic. That's pretty good. Yeah, just do some charge boot movement to get back to the ship. And now I have to be mindful to press down every time I select a planet from here on out, which is only going to be 2 more times. But basically, the game is going to try and prioritize Iridia, even though we don't need the gadget that that planet gets us. Because this is the only place where that gadget is used, and you'll see here that we do a little bit of out of bounds to skip it. And that's Quark's hideout. So now the Phoenix has just been attacked, and that's why I had no choice in where to go. So we're going back to the Phoenix, but it's going to look a little bit different. So yeah, it's just under attack. We don't actually have to kill the enemies to save it. You know, typical video game logic here. We just have to get to the end of the planet and then suddenly all the enemies are gone. And now everything is in working order again. And we can even collect some ammo through the little carrier. So that's that. Now we can move on to Koros, which is the second to last planet in the run. So here basically we're going to do some more out-of-bounds stuff. Do some little tricks called SIs, but I messed it up a little bit, and I don't think this is actually recoverable. So I'm just gonna succumb to the fish and try again. The developers of this game were pretty nice that there weren't any like life systems or game overs in this game. There we go, got it. So I had to do 4 SIs in a row there, going in and out of bounds constantly. And that just let us climb the tower there to get to the end of the level. So that's Koros done. We're now going to Command Center, which is the final planet, and we're going to be finishing our sniper rifle levels here. Since it's the last planet in the game, the enemies here are going to give the most experience to our weapon. You know, basic video game stuff here. So it's level 3 now. I'm probably going to have to buy ammo here, so I'm just going to buy it before instead of when I run out of ammo. Just to play it a little bit smarter. Now it's level 4. Again, I'm just killing myself here so that the enemies respawn. So that gets it like halfway to level 5. And then I can finish it with these guys that are slightly farther on in the level. And there we go, it's level 5. So now I can move on forward to the rest of the level. So I messed up the infinite jump there, but it's fine, there's a backup here. So we're going to be doing some more out of bounds. Those are all jumps that you're like not really supposed to do. So I'm just going to do some more infinite jumps. That way I don't have to deal with possibly getting one shot by the enemies over there. And that's the end of the planet. So now we're going on to the final boss.
Will we end up having time at the end of the final boss, or is there a little bit more movement afterward?
The time will be at the end of the final boss, but there's sort of 2 parts to this boss, so it's like 2 phases.
Okay, just go ahead and tell me when.
So this first section is another missile freefall section. So in this run we only end up having to do 3 of them. In some other runs you have to do even more than that. So this is the first phase of the boss. And so I have to find the right spot here so that I can do enough damage with the sniper rifle. This is why it was so important to get it to level 5, because it's the main weapon used on the final boss. Alright, I got horrible damage there. I'm just gonna kill myself and try again. Luckily, when you restart, you know, the developers don't hate you, so you don't have to do the entire free fall section again. Alright. Yeah, it's hard to find a rhythm sometimes with this boss. But hopefully I'll find the right spot here. It's really hard to tell with this boss whether or not you're in the right spot. Okay, that is really good damage. So now there's a little bit of movement for the rest of this phase. See, I think Nefarious followed. Yes, he did. So he's throwing his little bombs again, and I'm just going to get up here and finish by sniping him. Alright, that's the end of this phase. So now we have this giant robot called the Bio-Obliterator, which we had totally swept under the rug for the rest of the story because it turns all the Tyrannoids into robots, and it does that all in one cutscene on Metropolis that we were just totally able to skip. So, this is the final boss. It's sort of a boring hover ship little mission here. Not really much to it, just circle around him in his face. That way you're close and the shots don't have to travel much distance. That way you just get the fastest kill possible. So time is coming up in a few seconds here. Just as soon as this guy explodes. So, ready, time. That was Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. In Spanish. Specifically for a few seconds of time save on one planet. So I hope you guys enjoyed that run. I certainly did.
Ended up being 106.19.
All right. I'm not sure if that's a PB. I don't think it is because I've made so many early game mistakes, but it's still a solid run. Probably a couple minutes off PB.
And unfortunately, my timer is actually acting up back here, so it's still going, but yeah, we're at 106.19 was that time.
All right.
Would you like to do another run, or I'm going to call it good at that for the evening?
I think I'm going to call it good at that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Scottobozo.
Thank you for having me. I think I'm just going to do a little bit of practice for the next time I'm here.
Sounds good, sounds good.
I'll be doing a different run then, but I can still practice for it.
What run are we going to be doing that time?
I think I want to do the trifecta NG+, which will be Ratchet and Clank going commando, and this game all in NG+.
Oh, sounds good to me.
So I'll mostly be practicing this game because that's what's already in the PS2 right now.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us tonight here at Epic Gaming. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday speedruns. We like to stream a little bit of everything around here in Epic Gaming, from Final Fantasy TCG. We do some Magic content every now and then. We have some great speedrunners in our community. And we do have an event every second Saturday of the month called Rose City Unification, where we do a lot of Super Smash Brothers and other fighting games. Otherwise, that's going to do it for us for the evening. Have a great one.